So I'll give you guys an example. Let's say that a state decides to draft a policy that says that all people who ride motorcycles must wear helmets. Well, when we look at some of the challenges or constraints within that policy, we could say, well, some people don't necessarily want to ride with helmets. You can talk about challenges in terms of enforcing it. You can talk about challenges in terms of people feeling as though their rights are being violated, and so someone may decide to challenge that policy, take it all the way up to the state Supreme Court, the federal, to the Supreme Court. I'm going pretty far with this example, but people may have challenges in terms of affording helmets. There may be a challenge that not everyone who has a motorcycle could afford a helmet. Those can all be challenges that you would bring up when you talk about that policy. But let's say that the state hired you as a public administrator to actually analyze that policy. You're tasked with evaluating that policy a year after it's been implemented. So when we talk about evaluation constraints, now what we're really talking about are the challenges and the constraints that you'll find in terms of the evaluation process, in regards to when you are evaluating this particular policy. And so what are some challenges or constraints that you might find? Well, let's say that there are some people on the state legislature who feel as though this policy is ridiculous. And so they said, you know what, we're not going to fund this evaluation, or we're going to significantly reduce the funding of this evaluation. Right there you have a political constraint and a budget constraint as well. Let's say that the state isn't a small state like Rhode Island. Let's say it's a large state like California, where you have millions of people living in this particular state. So let's say that you're tasked with evaluating the effectiveness of this policy within the state of California. And the state of California has 39.5 million people living there. How are you going to evaluate whether or not this helmet requirement policy was really effective when you have such a large population of people? So that could be a challenge. That could be a constraint as well. And within evaluation constraints, whether a political, budgetary, what have you, it's important for the public administrator to learn how to work through them. And sometimes you may have some constraints, some challenges that you really can't move past. Other times you're going to have to think of ways to move around it in order to accurately evaluate your policy, that particular policy that you're evaluating. So those are some things that I wanted to really have you guys start thinking about as you're looking at as you're formulating your evaluation proposal. What are some challenges, what are some constraints that you're really going to find in terms of the evaluation process of that particular policy? So please, guys, continue doing the reading. I look forward to next week's discussion board as well. And I look forward to reading your assignments as well. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, reach out. I'm normally pretty good about getting back to you guys when you email me. And thank you. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.